So, what we're looking at is squares and square roots. If we have a square that is 25, you guys can tell me what the square root is, I bet. And you all jump out of your seats. The square root is 5. If I say the square root is 4, you're going to tell me that the square is?
20.
You're right, 16. 4 times 4. So when you try to find your square root, you square root the square. When you have the square root, you square it to find the square. Okay, so it's the same number multiplied by itself. Okay, so this is essentially what we're doing here, and this is what we're going to play around with. Okay. So what you have to make sure is that a perfect square, like 25 and 16, it's the product of two equal rational factors. So 4 times 4. For example, 3 times 3, what's the product of 3 times 3? 9. So we can say 9 is like Mr. Barker. It's a perfect square. Well, at least the perfect part. Okay? Some of you are paying attention and others not, clearly. Oh, man. Okay, so here's some more perfect squares. We have 1, 4, 9, and 16. What are the square roots of the perfect squares? What's the square root of 1?
1.
Square root of 2? No, that is a square root. Ha ha. Sorry, it's 2. The square is 4. Yeah.
What?
I said it backwards though. You're supposed to say 4. Don't worry, I'm messing with you. Don't think. Just throw it out. Okay. What's the square root of 9?
3.
Good. What's the perfect square of 4?
16.
Good. What's the square root of 25?
5.
What's the perfect square of 6?
36.
What's the square root of 49?
7.
What's the perfect square of 8?
64. 16.
64. 8 times 8. Not 8.
64.
Thank you, E. Better late than ever. Good. So you should kind of have an idea of all the perfect squares up to 10, 11, 12, 13. Right? What's the perfect square of 13?
169.
Good. Perfect square of 14?
196.
Really? I didn't know that. I know what's square root of 225? 220. 225.
15.
Yeah, you used your calculator
No, I
though.
didn't.
Yeah, you did. You totally did. Cheater. Okay, now we can do fractions as well. So if we have a fraction like 49 over 64, if we're going to square root that fraction, that's the same as writing the square root of 49 over the square root of 64. So we have 7 over 8. Okay. So we square root the top, we square root the bottom. Now if you have a decimal, you can change them into fractions. So 0.25 is 25 over 100. So if you're square rooting 25 over 100, it's square root 25 over square root 10. Okay. Square root the top, square root the bottom. Break it up. Questions to Ginger? Yes, you do. What? No, quit poking her. Then, well, she should be listening to me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Just like square root 9 over 16 equals square root 9 over square root 16. Okay. Any questions? Yeah, Plato.
How does the square root of 25 over 100 change into square root of 5 over 10?
Oh, what's this? Well, how do we say this? I guess I kind of got it written wrong. I should just put an equal sign there.
I know, but like this. I know, but like the square root of 20 or it's 25 over 100 is 0.25, and if you square root them, 5 over 10 is half. So isn't it like different?
No. But what do you, yeah, you're overthinking it though. I don't, if you multiply those together and you're going to get 0.25. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was supposed to be equivalent.
No. You good? Okay. What about now? Let's go back to 0.25. So you guys, let's let's look at the pattern. 0.25 equals 0.5. 25 equals 5. 0.0025 equals what? 0.05. So the pattern is, if this is 4 decimals, what do you want, you turds?
We're not turds, we're human beings.
Yes, you are, but you're acting like turds. Ooh, I shouldn't record that, should I? Whoops. I mean, you nice guys. Yes. Oh, wait. Oh, hey, good thing that wasn't recorded. Woo! All right. So 4 decimals here. And then we go down to half, 2 decimals. Now you guys know 36. What's a square root of 36? Okay. What's the square root then of 0.36? Okay. So we go from 2 decimals to 1. What about square root of 0.0036? Okay. Now here's a tough one. What about square root of 0.036? Not a perfect square. Okay, and the reason why it's not a perfect square, like you could get an answer only using a calculator, is because this one has 3 decimals. Doesn't work. Okay, so that one goes forever and ever. We call that irrational. Don't really need to know, that's more grade 10 stuff. Okay. Don't really worry about the pattern with decimals. I just want to show it to you so you can see it. Next, diagrams. For diagrams, I like to go with a grid paper. Now you guys can just watch the amazing mathematician named Mr. Barker. Let's, if our root is 2, it's a 2 by 2 square. So how many squares are 3, 4? Okay, so 2 squared equals 4. So then, let's say we had 3 squared. What would we have? Right? So 3 squared equals 9. Now, what if we had something like, I don't know, 2.2 squared? What do you think that would approximately be? No, notice how I wrote this? Not 4 point something. We have a whole range of 4 and 9. Can't sit still? Yeah, maybe 5 or 6, right? I'd say 6. So squiggly line is approximate. So if you know the root, you can approximate the perfect square. Okay, you can approximate the square. Don't check on your calculator. This is not calculator work. This is called showing your work, Josh. Just saying, throwing it out there. Okay, now that's estimating the square. We can also estimate the root. So if I know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I know a 5 by 5 grid is 25. So if 25 is the square root of 25 is? Good. Also, check this out. I like hearing my voice, girls, not yours. No offense. No offense. All right. So now I have 6. How many squares do I have? 36. So what do you think if I had square root of 32. What would be the approximate answer? What's the approximate root? You know what? How far apart are those two numbers? How far apart are those two numbers? So you need to know that. How far apart are these two numbers? So are we closer to the square root of 36 or closer to the square root of 25? Yeah, way closer to the 36 square root. So 5.5 would be 100% wrong. Because it's not in the middle, right? If it's not in the middle, how can it be 5.5? Yeah, I'll mark your estimations wrong. Because if you tell me, oh, it's 5.9, wrong. Not even close. It's a little bit further away than 36. 5.7. 5.6 I'd take. 5.7 I'd take. 5.6, you know, I don't really like it though. I like 5.7. Because look at 7 and 4. We're not even close to the middle. Like, we're clearly closer to the 6. So I'd say 5.7 is what I would take. I might think 5.6 okay. I might think 5.8. But 5.5 and 5.9, no way. Okay? Very. All right. Any questions? So this is kind of all we're going to learn today. We're going to go into our notes and put it down. But really think about how many squares there are. Think about the size. Okay. Back to our notes. Boop. Done. So a square trampoline has a side length of 2.6. So 2.6 is the side length, and we want to know what would be the area of the square. So we know what 2 squared equals. We know what 3 squared equals because they're perfect, like Mr. Barker. So what would be the approximate? Notice I use this squiggly line. That means approximate. What would be the approximate answer here? Think about it. Don't shout it out. Write it down. What do you guys think, and tell me why?
7.
Diana, what do you think?
7.
Okay. Josh, what do you think?
6.5 or 6.25 around there.
It's an estimate.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
6 point.
2.5 times 2.5 is 6.25.
Well, okay. Next. I search it. I get it. Anyone else? Rithik, what's yours? 7? Yeah, I'd go with a whole number on this one. And I'd say it's got to be closer to the 9. So 7's good because you're 3 away here and 2 away there, which makes sense. You should be closer to the 9. Okay? So 7's good. 6.5, I'm not marking that wrong. Okay. Good. Now calculate it. Make sure you can use this on your calculator. So you're looking for, some people have this button, a little hat. Some people have a Y to the X button. Some people have a X to the Y button. This button I would not use. X squared, I wouldn't use that because then you can only do one question and not all the exponents. Good. 6.76. Everyone try it on the calculator. If you can't find the button, come up. Continuing on. So, determine whether it's a perfect square. Determine the square root. Can you square? Anytime you have a fraction, please focus and listen. I hear too much talking. Anytime you have a fraction, you want to square root the fraction, which means you square root the top and the bottom separately. This is a perfect square. You get 5/7. So this one is a perfect square, PS. This one, though, 0.4, It is not perfect because it's an odd number of decimals. So this one you have to go to your calculator, and if you see the square root button, you press it first and it goes onto your screen. Watch please, don't do anything yet. I'll show you the two types of calculators. So this calculator is old school. When I press the square root button, look, nothing happens. I don't see it on the screen. So I have to enter in my number first, then square root the number, and I get my answer. Now look at the other calculator. Most of you nowadays have this calculator. What's going on with the screen? Just a second. Let me put it down and restart it here. There we go. So for this one, when I press my square root button in the yellow writing, I actually see it on the screen. So this one, I put in my square root, I press 0.4, put in my closing brackets, and that's just for later questions that are harder. Then I press equals, and I get my answer. Please do this on your calculator now. If you can't do it, come up. You should get 0.6325532 as your answer. Okay. Children, quiet. Now, we have to estimate and calculate the number that is the given square root. What's that whole number below 5.2? You're right, 5. So 5 squared is 25. What's a whole number above 5.2? You're right, 6. Not hard, kids. What is that? So what do you think the approximate square root of 5.2 is? 27, maybe? Good. Well done. You showed your work. Right, Josh? Yeah. Attaboy. Okay, what's a perfect square below 39.39? 0. What? You're right, 0.36. What's a perfect square above? Come on, shout it out. Oh, sorry, Mr. Bark. Whoa, backwards. Mr. Barker's doing this backwards. What's 0 squared is 0. 1 squared is 1. So what about 0.39? Any ideas? Well, if I was going to estimate it, I'd go 0.4 times 0.4. So it'd be 0.16. Decimals are weird. Yeah. I really don't like that question, to be honest with you, but whatever. This one's way easier. 10 squared. Oh, what number should I pick on the bottom? What's one higher? Okay, tell me, what's the approximate square root, please? $115? 117? Yeah. 118? I like 118 just so I can disagree with Pinto. There you go, that's all.
So mean.
I know. Yes, I am. Who said I was nice?
I think a couple people have.
No, they're lying. All lies.
You're so nice.
Oh, all lies. You just wait till we get on the rugby field. Okay.
I'm on your side.
So now we're going backwards. Area of a square is s squared. We're given the area of 236, and that is the side length squared. So we substitute in our formula. In order to figure out the side length, we have to do the opposite of squaring. The opposite of squaring is?
Rooting.
Square rooting. Thank you, or rooting. That's fine. Like rooting around like a pig in the dirt. So that's the letter S. It's not the number 5. Now, go to your calculator. What is that? What's the square root of 236? Bet you it's a little bit more than 15.
Sorry.
That's 15.3.
I'm like a genius.
Yes, you are, Mr. Barker.
15 points what?
3.6.
3.6. Good. 2 decimals. Next one.
I heard S, I heard
Area equals S squared. The area is 0.36 equals S squared. Square root, not one side, but both sides. You got to keep it equal. Remember those algebra rules from grade 8. We'll review them later, don't worry, but I just like to throw it out there. So S, the side length, equals square root 0.36. So 0.6. That's using a calculator. Almost done here. Push it through. Here we go. Push it through. Come on now. All right. Estimate square root of. What's perfect square? We need to go above and below. What's the perfect square below 20? 16. And we know that equals 4. So the perfect square above has to be 5, which is 25. So I should write this part in, square root, square root. So what's the approximate square root of 20? Now before you yell it out, you little yellers, tell me how far apart those numbers are. 5, 4, so what do you think? 4 point what? No, it's closer to the 4 than the 5. Right?
4.6.
No.
4.3.
4.4 or 4.3, right? It's really close to halfway. It's only 5 away from the top number and 4 away from the bottom number. It's really close to halfway. Okay. Let's do 56. What's a perfect square below 56?
49.
Good. And what is the square root of 49? So what's a perfect square above 56?
64.
Which equals? How far away are you? 8. What about the bottom number? So we're closer to the 7 then. 7.4 again? Okay. Josh, you like to talk? Pick a number between 0 and 100.
50.
Pick a number between 0 and 100. 78. Okay, what's this perfect square below? 64, which equals 8. What's the perfect square above?
81.
Now, how far apart are your numbers? 3 apart. And what about down below? Ooh, that's a long ways.
Oh, looks like 8, 14. 14.
Wow. So what do you think the approximate square is going to be? Square root. 8 point what? 8.9, 8.8, so, somewhere around there. Okay, it's got to be really, really, really close to the 9. Well, what you're looking at, Owen, is if you're really close to the top number, you're only 78 is only 3 digits away from 81. Do you agree? So that means your answer must be really, really close to 9. Whereas if you look at these two numbers, 78 is 14 digits. Like 14 huge, mega, big mondo digits from 64. So this answer shouldn't be anywhere close to 8. So you use this idea to determine whereabouts you are. 8.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? So if you're really close in size, these are close in size, these will be close in size. If you're really far in size, you're really far in size. That's the idea. Does that make more sense now? Any other questions? Okay. The homework from yesterday, make sure that's all done, looks good, show lots of work on those fractions. Work on that. Textbook work today as well. Make sure you look at your outline, get your textbook work on that. Ready, set, go!